The British Empire is often remembered as a story of power, progress, and global influence. An empire where the sun supposedly never set. We are taught about exploration, trade, railways, and governance, framed as achievements that shaped the modern world. But history is rarely just one story. Behind the maps colored in red, behind the grand buildings and celebrated victories, there exists another side of the empire that is far less discussed. An empire built not only through ambition and strategy, but through exploitation, economic control, and human cost, for millions living under British rule. Empire did not mean opportunity. It meant loss of land, loss of industry, loss of freedom, and in many cases, loss of life. Entire economies were reshaped to serve Britain's interests. Local voices were silenced, and resistance was often met with force. These realities were softened, simplified, or completely removed from textbooks over time. This documentary does not aim to provoke guilt or rewrite history with emotion, but to examine it with honesty and context, to understand how the British Empire truly functioned, who benefited from it, and who paid the price. Because to understand the world we live in today, its borders, inequalities, and conflicts, we must first confront the truths we were never taught. Chapter 1. The rise of the British Empire. Britain began as a relatively small island nation, but its location, naval strength, and growing ambitions pushed it outward. Through exploration, trade routes, and military expansion, Britain slowly built influence far beyond Europe. The turning point came with maritime power. Controlling seas meant controlling trade. British ships reached Asia, Africa, and the Americas, not only carrying goods, but authority. What started as trading posts soon turned into territorial control. Companies like the East India Company played a crucial role, acting as private businesses with their own armies, laws, and taxation systems. Over time, economic interests and political power merged, allowing Britain to dominate vast regions without always ruling directly. By the 19th century, the British Empire had become the largest empire in history, ruling over territories spread across every continent. Chapter 2. Empire and Economic Exploitation. The wealth of the British Empire did not appear by chance. It was built through the systematic extraction of resources from colonized lands. Raw materials such as cotton, tea, sugar, rubber, and minerals were taken from colonies at low cost and shipped to Britain, where they fueled factories and industrial growth. Local economies were reshaped to serve imperial needs, often at the expense of traditional industries were destroyed, forcing colonies to rely on British-manufactured goods. In places like India, farmers were pressured to grow cash crops instead of food, leaving populations vulnerable to famine. While Britain prospered, colonized societies faced deep poverty, debt, and long-term economic damage that would last generations. Chapter 3. Control, Resistance, and Violence. Maintaining such a vast empire required control, and that control was rarely peaceful. British rule depended on strict laws, military presence, and local elites who enforced imperial authority. When resistance emerged, whether through protests, rebellions, or independence movements, it was often met with harsh force. Mass arrests, censorship, collective punishment, and executions were used to suppress opposition. Events like the Amritsar massacre revealed how violence was justified in the name of order. These actions were frequently minimized or ignored in official records, while resistance movements were portrayed as disorder or rebellion. For those living under empire, power was felt not through governance alone, but through fear and silence. Chapter 4. Culture, Identity, and Control of Narratives. Beyond land and resources, the British Empire also sought to control culture and identity. Education systems were designed to promote British values, language, and worldview, often portraying local cultures as inferior. History was written from the perspective of the empire, shaping how generations understood their own past. Many traditions, languages, and belief systems were pushed aside or weakened. This cultural dominance ensured loyalty and reduced resistance, but it also caused long-term damage to identity and self-confidence in colonized societies. Even after independence, these narratives remained embedded in institutions, media, and education systems. Chapter 5. The legacy of the British Empire. Although the British Empire officially ended in the 20th century, its legacy continues to shape the modern world. Borders drawn during colonial rule still influence political tensions and conflicts today. Economic inequalities between nations often trace back to imperial extraction and disruption. Britain itself benefited from centuries of imperial wealth, which helped build its infrastructure, institutions, and global influence. Understanding this legacy is not about assigning blame, but about recognizing cause and effect. The empire did not simply disappear. It left behind systems, divisions, and realities that still affect millions of lives today. The story of the British Empire is complex, powerful, and uncomfortable. It includes innovation and expansion, but also exploitation and suffering. To study it honestly is not to erase history, but to complete it. Only by acknowledging both sides can we truly understand how the modern world was shaped and why certain truths were never taught. The British Empire shaped the modern world in many ways, but its full story is rarely told. Understanding this history is not about blaming the past, but about learning from it. Only when we look beyond what we were taught can we truly understand how the present was formed. This was the British Empire, not just as it is remembered, but as it was lived. If you value real history told in documentary style, subscribe to Pastora Docs and join us as we explore the story's history left behind.